Alright guys, welcome back to another reaction video. My name is James.
Ninetailedbrush.
And today we're going to be partaking in the very manly journey of watching Pride and Prejudice. So, you don't know anything about this, right? Which, anybody watching this is kind of cool. I've read the book in school. It's Jane Austen, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a famous female author, and that was kind of rare for back when she was writing especially, so she wrote a bunch of stuff. And then they made a mini-series about it, which I had seen because I had a sister, and TV was better than no TV, so I was like, I'll watch Pride and Prejudice, the mini-series. Anyway, long story short, I've never seen this. You don't know anything about the story at all. I kind of know the story, but I've never actually seen this version of the movie. It was a reaction request from somebody, so we're going to be doing it for them, so thank you for that request. Obviously, as usual, if you guys want to do your own requests, feel free to go check out the hero tier on Patreon, with the idea that it does take a bit for us to do them, about 30 days, and just because workload has been upping, we've usually been putting a limit on it, somewhere around 13 people, so if you have something in mind, just keep in mind it is first come, first serve, and there's a cap limit per month. But anyway, all that being said, I'm actually kind of excited because I want to see how this differs. It's got a fairly famous cast. You wouldn't know any of them, so I'm not going to really name drop, but they're all pretty good actors and actresses. And yeah, full-length reaction is going to be up on Patreon if you want to go support us. And let's just get into this one here. Now that I think about it, this is kind of like a sophisticated 1800s rom com, but it's different because it's the 1800s.
I mean, I'm down for that.
That's kind of a cool opening title with the sunrise. That's cool. That was a cool long take.
Dear Mr. Bennet, have you heard? Netherfield Park is let at last. Mr. Bingley back from the north. He's single.
Busted.
People. Oh, Mr. Bennet, how can you tease me so? Have you no compassion for my poor nerves?
Oh, you mistake me, my dear. I have the highest respect for them.
Dude, that's Snow. That's President Snow.
I was gonna say, yeah. Now I can't tell. Are they kind of well off, or
No. Well, it was weird back then. Now I may get this wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But to my understanding, because he doesn't have a son, they don't have like huge lands, and because he doesn't have a son, like, as a woman at the time, the kind of only option was to get married.
Yeah.
And then I think there was some sort of transfer of land with a dowry, but it was like you couldn't own the land after the male heir died. So it was like kind of a mad rush, even if you were decently well off, to find someone to transfer it was weird.
Yeah, I was assuming because of the time period and stuff.
Yeah, and so because he has all daughters, I don't think they're very well off either, but then because it's all daughters, it's more complicated.
I'm interested to see who this person is.
All the different... Oh yeah, Mr. Bingley. That's it.
Whoa. Like, who's crashing the party? Like...
And the person with the quizzical brow? That is his good friend, Mr. Darcy. It's miserable for so miserable.
He's not serious at all.
Sadly not.
Okay.
I have this daughter, you know. Mrs. Bennet, Miss Jane Bennet, Elizabeth, and Miss Mary Bennet.
It is a pleasure.
And may I introduce Mr. Darcy of Pemberley in Pemberley.
The library at Netherfield, I've heard, is one of the finest in the country.
Yes. Filled me with guilt. Not very good reading. Birthing out of doors. When I can't read, of course.
You would never believe what I'm about to tell you. Tell me quickly, my lord.
I can't prepare.
What are you going to tell me? You dance, Mr. Darcy.
She is the most beautiful creature I have ever beheld. But her sister Elizabeth is very agreeable.
Thoroughly tolerable, I dare say. A lot less than us to me.
Well, okay then.
A tough one.
Yeah, a little bit.
His friend, Mr. Bingley?
Bingley, yeah.
Bingley? It's very, very different.
Yeah.
Compared to him.
I thought the furniture was the food of life.
Of a fine stout, love it now. But if it is only a vague inclination, I'm convinced one course sonnet will kill its stone down.
So what do you recommend to encourage affection?
Dancing.
She got him.
She's willing to, you know, speak her stuff.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in why Darcy is kind of like how he is and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I like seeing that sort of character.
Do you really believe you like me, Lizzie? Jane? He danced with you most of the night and stared at you for the rest of it. But I give you leave to like him. You'd like many a stupider person. And you're a great deal too apt to like people in general.
It is a shame she's not.
I love how into the drama the mom is.
The fourth with him. She'll go on horseback. Horseback?
Great.
Well, I mean, did they have any
It's a little bit rainy.
rainproof? I don't know. Like, come on.
No.
Oh, she'll have to stay the night exactly as unprotected.
She's making moves.
Kind friends will not hear of you returning home until I'm better. Do not be alarmed, excepting a sore throat, a fever, and a headache. There is nothing much wrong with me. This is ridiculous.
If Jane does die, it'd be a comfort to know it was ever saved Mr. Bingley.
Yeah, that is kind of like low-key a little bit messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get it. Well, it's not like a you know, giant
Yeah.
fault, but I think it's good of.
Miss Elizabeth Bennet.
Well, they obviously weren't.
Lord, Miss Elizabeth, did you walk?
Well, they
Expecting
can't
her.
call
I
him.
did. I'm so sorry. How's my sister?
She's upstairs.
Thank you.
My goodness, did you see her hem? 6 inches deep in mud. She looked positively medieval.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Darcy, I mean, he is the one that took notice of her in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of grumpy, but he doesn't seem like
Yeah.
evil. I mean, like, the sister's the worst. Bingley's sister.
No,
She's
yeah.
just, like, pretentious and... Nice try.
I mean,
I just like how she thought that was gonna work.
Played the piano, embroidered cushions. I never heard of a young lady, but people say she is accomplished. The word is indeed applied too liberally. I cannot boast of knowing more than half a dozen in all my acquaintance.
Jeez.
Accomplished. And of course she must improve her mind by extensive reading.
I'm no longer surprised at your knowing only 6 accomplished women. I rather wondered out you're knowing any.
Are you so severe on your own sex?
I never saw such a woman.
Bingley's just totally out of it.
Turn about the room. Refreshing, is it not? After sitting so long in one attitude.
It is a small kind of accomplishment, I suppose.
Will you not join us, Mr. Darcy?
And would you consider pride a fault or a virtue?
That I couldn't say.
Because we're doing our best to find a fault in you.
Maybe it's that I find it hard to forgive the follies and vices of others, or their offences against me.
I do like how there are, like, so many social levels going on in, like, a normal conversation.
A Mrs. Bennet, a Miss Bennet, a Miss Bennet, and a Miss Bennet.
For heaven's sake, are we to receive every Bennet in the country? Oh, I do hope you intend to stay here, Mr. Bingley.
Absolutely. I find the country very diverting. Don't you agree, Darcy? I find it perfectly adequate.
Mr. Bingley, is it true that you've promised to hold a ball here at Netherfield?
A ball?
It would be an excellent way to meet new friends.
If he didn't, he now has.
You're excellent. Would you hold a ball, Kitty?
His name is Mr. Collins. He's a Indeed, everything apparently. Even my piano still belongs to Mr. Collins. When? He may turn us out of the house as soon as he pleases.
So because it goes to the male heir, this guy is like, even though he's, I think, like their second cousin, he's technically, he's gonna get
The
everything.
one that's gonna get it.
What a superbly featured room, and what excellent boiled potatoes. Many years since I've had such an exemplary vegetable. I'm honoured to have as my patroness Lady Catherine de Bourgh. You've heard of her, I presume. In her little phaeton and ponies.
Do you have any family?
Young daughter.
Look at the dad's laughing at him.
These pleasing attentions proceed from the impulse of the moment, or are they the result of previous study?
They arise chiefly from what is passing at the time, though I do sometimes amuse myself with arranging such little elegant compliments. I always wish to give them as unstudied an air.
That was
That was not subtle.
Miss Bennet, you do know that I have been bestowed by the good grace of Lady Catherine de Bourgh a parsonage of no mean size.
I have become aware of the fact.
And I have to inform you that the eldest Miss Bennet has captured my special attention.
Mr. Collins.
No,
Unfortunate.
she's got Bingley. Leave her alone.
Indeed. Indeed. Very agreeable alternative.
well, some issues have sprung up already.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the smoothest socially,
Yeah.
so we'll see how that plays out.
Shall we all look for some ribbon together?
Good afternoon, Mr. James.
Good afternoon. When it comes to buckles, I'm lost.
Dear, oh dear. You must be the shame of the regiment.
What laughing stock?
What do your superiors do with you?
Lend me some money.
You already owe me a fortune, Lydia.
Allow me to oblige.
Oh, no, Mr. Wickham, please.
Dang.
Okay.
Mr. Bingley, how do you like my ribbons for your ball?
Very beautiful.
She is. Look at her. She's blooming. Oh, Lydia. He's credit to his profession.
Uh-oh.
Oh, so Wickham was obviously next to Elizabeth there, right? Or whatever.
Indeed, I've been connected with this family since infancy. You may well be surprised, Miss Elizabeth, especially given our cold greeting this afternoon. Oh, no, it is not for me to be driven away. If he wishes to avoid seeing me, he must go. Not I. His father treated me like a second son, loved me like a son. We were both with him the day he died, but Darcy ignored his wishes and gave the living to another man.
But why?
Jealousy. Well, he loved me better and Darcy couldn't stand it.
How cruel.
So now I'm a poor foot soldier, too lonely even to be noticed.
I mean, I'm interested to hear a little bit more about what happened there. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like he's playing it a little bit into the, like, feel sorry for me
yeah, like
card. It
Of
doesn't
course-
mean that it may not be a legitimate
no,
issue.
yeah,
but-
it might be what he sees also
Yeah,
on his side.
yeah.
He might not necessarily have all the information.
Yeah.
On the contrary, Wickham is twice the man Darcy is. And let us hope a rather more willing dancer.
Wickham, is that his name?
Yeah, the soldier.
Mr. Wickham. I mean, of course,
He seems cool.
fine. Yeah,
And they do have some chemistry, obviously.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, darker tendencies or something.
Well, then we got this dude, right? And he's going for Elizabeth, too.
This dude's kind of
He's hilarious.
entirely sure.
The way they film these scenes is really interesting.
Lizzie, Mr. Wickham's not here. Apparently he's been detained. Detained where? He must be here.
They are.
So awkward.
Apparently your Mr. Wickham has been called on some business to town.
Yes, it's
He's very unique.
Onwards path. Man of the next dance, Miss Elizabeth.
I do like how all the characters are unique in their own way. Like all the guys and all the girls.
Yeah.
Like, they all have their own like.
It's like Colin. I mean, you can obviously tell, like, Mr. Darcy, you know.
Well, I think it's interesting because I feel like she is kind of wittier and a little bit more independent, and so I think he's intrigued by that.
Yeah.
You talk as a rule, Darcy?
No. No, I prefer to be unsociable and taciturn.
Whether he's capable of betraying them is less so.
He's been so unfortunate as to lose your friendship. And I dare say that is irreversible event.
It is. Why do you ask such a question?
To make out your character.
That was cool. He's so short.
I know.
Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy.
Oh no.
Charles, you cannot be serious.
Oh, get over it.
Relax.
Just because they're not as stuck up as you. See, I'm worried the mom is gonna like say too much, and then it's gonna be like impolite, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, maybe they shouldn't get." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Mrs. Bennet, I was hoping if it would not trouble you that I might solicit a private audience with Miss Elizabeth in the course of the morning.
Oh, yes, certainly. Jane.
Dear Miss Elizabeth, I'm sure my attentions have been too marked to be mistaken. Almost as soon as I entered the house, I singled you out as the companion of my future life. Secondly, that I'm convinced it will add greatly to my happiness. And thirdly, that it is at the urging of my esteemed patroness, Lady Catherine.
Sir, I am honoured by your proposal, but I regret that I must decline it.
I know ladies don't seek to seem too easy.
Mr. Collins, I am perfectly serious. You could not make me happy, and I'm convinced I'm the last woman in the world who could make you happy. Don't worry, Mr. Collins.
I mean, part of it, like, she was harsh, but then at the same time, part of it was his fault because he couldn't take a hit.
Yeah.
What am I to do?
Well, come and talk to her. Now! Go back now and say you've changed your mind.
Yeah.
No, think of your family. You cannot make me. Mr. Bennett, say something.
Lizzie, from this day onward, you must be a stranger to one of your
Who
parents.
will retain you when your father's dead?
Your mother will never see you again if you do not marry Mr. Collins. And I will never see you again if you do.
You will suffer as I do from that complaint for the pleasure of talking to anybody. Jane?
Are they leaving? What's going on?
I think so. They're going back to the city or London or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
yeah.
they said they would stay, right? So
That was the plan.
it's weird.
There is no earthly reason why I shouldn't be as happy with him as any other. But he's ridiculous. Oh, hush. Not all of us can afford to be romantic. I've been offered a comfortable home and protection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can judge her.
In
right?
that situation, I don't think Lizzie was, though. Like, I think that she just doesn't understand. It's exactly like you said. She's like, she doesn't have the luxury to be able to be as picky, I guess, as Lizzie. And I think in that scenario, it's a totally understandable decision. That's cool. This is cool. It's a cool way to show, like, the passage of time.
Your mother should have taken you to town every spring for the benefit of the masters. I'm sure my mother wouldn't have minded, but my father hates town. Has your governess left you?
We never had a governess.
Your younger sisters, are they out in society?
Yes, Mum, all.
All? What, all 5 out at once?
That's very...
Upon my word, you give your opinion very decidedly for so young a person.
Well, okay.
Lady Catherine, I'm not afflicted with false modesty. When I say I play poorly...
Come, Lizzie. Her ladyship demands it.
How does Georgiana get along, Darcy?
She plays very well.
I hope she practices.
What was my friend like in Hertfordshire?
You really going to know?
Oh no.
There was something very dreadful. Even though gentlemen were scarce and there was more than one young lady sitting down without a partner.
I knew nobody beyond my own party.
Oh, and nobody can be introduced in a ballroom. Fitzwilliam, I need you.
I do not have the talent of conversing easily with people I have never met before.
Perhaps you should take your aunt's advice and practice. Mr. Darcy. I'm afraid Mr. and Mrs. Collins have gone on business to the village.
This is a charming house. I believe my aunt did a great deal to it when Mr. Collins first arrived. Good day, Miss Leslie. Big pleasure.
Okay.
You tried.
Many conveniences which others can supply and which we cannot procure for ourselves.
Short servants, Collins. Please.
Which are only to be obtained through intercourse.
Don't you plan to stay in Kent?
As long as Darcy chooses, I'm at his disposal.
One appears to be at his disposal. Nobody doesn't manage to secure lasting convenience of that kind.
Darcy is a most loyal companion. From what I heard in our journey, he recently came to the rescue of one of his friends just in time.
What happened?
He saved the man from imprudent marriage.
Who's the man?
His closest friend, Charles Bingley.
I feel like we still don't know the full story though.
Yeah. Okay, the way that the colonel, I think he was a colonel, described him was he was a loyal man, right?
Yeah. And
but that goes against to what the things he's done, right?
That's true.
It would describe him as like, not loyal at all.
Yeah.
I fought against my better judgment, my family's expectation. The inferiority of your birth, my rank, and circumstance, all these things, and I'm willing to put them aside and ask you to end my agony.
I don't understand.
I love you. Most heartily.
Sir, I appreciate the struggle you have been through, and I am very sorry to have caused you pain. Believe me, it was unconsciously done. Just if anything might tempt me to accept the man who has ruined, perhaps forever, the happiness of a most beloved sister.
Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your circumstances?
And those are the words of a gentleman. From the first moment I met you, your arrogance and conceit, your selfish disdain for the feelings of others, made me realize that you were the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
I feel like a lot of it was, just emotional.
Yeah. I mean, look, the thing with the family, though, especially with the mom, like, I do feel like it is understandable, right? Where he is, look, I think there were legitimately people who were after Bingley for his money.
Yeah.
He was really well off. And the mom was less than subtle. Like, she was happy about that. And especially in, like, polite society and whatnot, she was not very quiet or subtle. And so, even though it's a bit of a rash decision, it's understandable how somebody would get that impression.
Of course.
And be like, hey, dude, this is not good for you. Like,
not just not good for him, but maybe not even for her. For her sister. Because, like, it's, like, almost, like, from an outsider's perspective, you might not be, like, if you don't see the sister, as motivated to, I don't know, marry, then you might be like, oh, the mom's just pushing her to marry.
Exactly. But there's clearly something to the whole Darcy... whatever Wickham. The soldier's name, Wickham situation. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But it's like, I feel like both of them are a little bit prideful, like both of them, and so then they don't, like, he's not gonna ever explain it. He's just like, how could you think this of me? And she's like, well, of course I'm gonna think this. And then they don't, like, communicate.
Yeah. I feel like, of course there's a lot of emotion involved. I mean, he literally just said...
Yeah.
That he loved her.
I'm glad she turned him down, though. I think it was too soon.
Father loved Mr. Wickham as a son. In consequence, he left him a generous living. But upon my father's death, Mr. Wickham announced he had no intention of taking orders. He demanded the value of the living which he was given, and which he gambled away within weeks. He came back to see us last summer, at which point he declared passionate love for my sister, whom he tried to persuade to elope with him. She is to inherit £30,000.
Yeah, it's
see,
like,
he's
dude.
very selfish.
Yes.
That's why there's always two sides of it.
Of course.
Hiding things behind your back the moment people come in. I don't think that ever works.
She's in a weird spot.
I'm quite over him, Lily. If he passed me in the street, I'd hardly notice. London is so diverting. It's true.
I feel like there's so much to distract you. That doesn't necessarily mean it's...
Yeah, it doesn't mean you...
We can never expect you to do with so little inconvenience.
Okay,
So the youngest sister is going to, like, hang out with the officers. And it's like,
And Kitty will follow, as she always does.
super inappropriate and...
No, yeah.
She's far too poor to be an object of prey to anyone.
Father, it's dangerous.
I am certain. Let us hope, in fact, that I stay in Brighton and teach her her own insignificance.
That's some tough love if...
Yeah, it's so complicated.
Yeah.
What are men compared to rocks and mountains? Leave me alone.
I like Mary.
I honestly like Mary.
Did you mention Mr. Bingley? No.
I mean, that's understandable that she doesn't tell her, though. Because why give her hope? Holy, what is this?
Where exactly are we? I think we're quite close to Pemberley. Mr. Darcy's home.
That's the fellow. Very well stocked lake.
I'd rather not. He's so what? He's so rich.
The snob you are.
It is interesting, like, the little taste of... Like, whatever you may think of it, it is interesting, the little taste of, like, this cult, which I feel like legitimately was the culture of the time, where it's like, oh yeah, you have your country house and your London house, and just, like, everything about it. It's really... It's just otherworldly.
Holy crap.
That is beautiful.
That is
like, that's
insane.
amazing.
The color scheme of the room, like, wow.
This is probably some real English house.
Maybe.
That I'm sure, dude. Like, a lot of these places are still standing.
Could this be him?
Oh, the sister.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, the sister.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
That's a little weird.
I thought you were in London.
No. No, I'm not.
Well, yes, apparently not.
We wouldn't have come in
Some business I want to do. And now you're having a pleasant trip.
Very pleasant. Tomorrow we go to Matlock.
Tomorrow. May I see you back to the village?
No.
I do think it's interesting how, like, she recognizes that it's weird and, like, feels bad to put him in that situation. Like, I think that is, like, a sign of her character. You know what I mean? Like, she's not just, like, rejecting him. Like, she legitimately was like, I don't think it's time. But, like, she doesn't want to make it weird. I don't know.
Not at all how you're going to dine with him. There's something pleasant about his mouth when he speaks.
Oh, no.
Our journey another day.
Dang, this girl's like a pro.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't lying, so...
My sister, Miss Georgiana.
My brother has told me so much about you. I feel as if we are friends already.
Thank you. Your unfortunate brother once had to put up with my playing for a whole evening.
But he says you play so well.
Then he has perjured himself most profoundly.
No, I said played quite well.
Oh, quite well is not very well. I'm satisfied. You play duets, Miss Elizabeth? Only when forced. Brother, you must force her. Lydia has run away. With Mr. Wickham. They had once invited divorces. She had no money,
Oh, I had a feeling something like that.
Dude, though, that's so messed up.
no. She's lost forever.
This is grave indeed. I will leave you. Goodbye. I'm afraid we must go at once. I will do everything I can find Lydia before she ruins the family forever.
Poor Mr. Bennet will now have to fight the perfidious Wickham and then be killed.
He hasn't found him yet.
How could she do such a thing to her poor mamma?
I don't blame her. I blame Wickham.
Don't do that.
Like, she's so young. It's like, dude, I blame Wickham for taking advantage.
Be married. They will be. Your father will settle £100 a year on her. That is Wickham's condition. £100? He will agree to this, father.
I'll agree. God knows how much your uncle must have paid on that wretched man.
And at 15 too. Ring the bell, Kitty. I must put on my things and tell Lady Lucas. Because Saracens in her car. So I took off my blush and let my hand just rest so she might see the ring. And I bowed and smiled back at her.
Near Newcastle. We travel there next week.
Can I come and stay with you?
That is out of the question.
Well, Monday morning came and I was in such a fuss. I didn't hear. There was my old preacher. I wanted to know whether he'd been married in his blue coat.
The North of England, I believe, there's some spectacular scenes.
Lady Wilson's church and business, and I thought,
So I don't know. Do you get? Because it's like weird. It's like not modern time. Like if it was modern times, you'd be like, oh my gosh, she's 15, she can't. Right, but so it's different because like the danger is like the eloping essentially.
Yeah.
Right, because then the other daughters wouldn't be able to get married, and essentially because of that, they would just like literally live on the streets.
Yeah.
So like the idea is that
they need
like
to
they ran
properly-
off, and so they had to like find them and kind of fix the situation
Yeah.
and make sure they got married. Like so that's the issue, right? Like
Yeah.
and so that's why.
Not that I care about it. Mr. Bingley's nothing to us. I'm sure I never want to see him again, no. We shan't mention a word about it. Is it quite certain he's coming?
I believe he's a
Nice try being subtle, Mrs. Bennet.
It's all right, Lizzie. I'm just glad he comes alone because then we shall see less of him. Not that I'm afraid of myself, but I dread other people's remarks. Oh, I'm sorry.
That is the high life, ladies and gentlemen.
You see he's at the door. Oh my goodness! Everybody behave naturally.
Anytime guests are over.
She's just running in circles.
This here.
Oh, the ribbons.
Go, go.
Mr. Darcy.
Please.
That was smooth.
I'm very glad we are to see you, Mr. Bingley. There's been a great many changes since you went away. Miss Lucas is married.
Yes, I did hear of it. I offer my congratulations.
But it is very hard to have my Lydia taken away from me. Mr. Wickham has been transferred to Newcastle, wherever that is. My Jane looks well. Does she not?
Guys, clear out. We need like a... we need to work this out, people, okay?
Well, we must begin.
Excuse me.
You say sit down. Right. So,
The other side of it. Look at what Darcy's just like there for him.
Yeah.
Look, it's him. He's back. He's come again.
Dang it! He literally just left and he's gone.
First, I must tell you I've been the most unmitigated and comprehensive ass.
1,000 times.
Give us a little bit of time. Come
Totally do. Come on, you guys even brewed the same.
You know, he was totally ignorant of my being in town in the spring. How did he account for it? He thought me indifferent. Unfathomable. No doubt poisoned by his pernicious system. Bravo. Perhaps Mr. Collins has a cousin. What? He's changed his mind. Lady Catherine.
What?
You have a very small garden, madam.
Could I offer you a cup of tea, perhaps?
Absolutely not. I need to speak to Miss Elizabeth Bennet alone. As a matter of urgency. A report of a most alarming nature has reached me that you intend to be united with my nephew, Mr. Darcy. I know this to be a scandalous falsehood. Do you then pretend to be ignorant of it? Has it not been industriously circulated by yourself? I have never heard of it. And can you declare there is no foundation for it? Now what have you to say? Only this, if that is the case, you can have no reason to suppose he would make an offer to me. You selfish girl! This union has been planned since their infancy. Do you think it can be prevented by a young woman of inferior birth, whose own sister's elopement resulted in a scandalously patched-up marriage only achieved at the expense of your uncle? And will you promise never to enter into such an engagement?
No, don't.
I certainly never shall. You have insulted me in every possible way and can now have nothing further to say.
Right now, you're right. She kind of realizes Mr. Darcy's actions, right, have been
all good.
Yeah. And
even this, it's like, did he do anything, or is it, you know,
of course not,
the lady stepping in and doing her thing, right? So it's like,
well, I think I don't exactly know how the rumor got out exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I don't think it would be him. That'd be weird. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that's just a huge part of this story. We'll talk about it more, but really, like, the like, nobody had, it's not just the women, but like everybody, like, it's like society is this like weird web, and it's just like, oh, you have to follow the rules of this thing, and so you have to get married because you were promised by birth. It's like this whole thing where it's like, why, like,
well, yeah, I mean,
all right, that's Darcy. He's like a pretty cool, pretty swag.
his top shirt's unbuttoned. He's kind of just like strolling through.
I couldn't sleep.
No. My aunt.
Yeah, after what you have done for Lydia, and I suspect for Jane also, it is I who should be making amends.
I believe you spoke with my aunt last night and distilled me to hope, as I'd scarcely allowed myself before. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. But one word from you will silence me forever. If, however, your feelings have changed, you have bewitched me, body and soul, and I love you. And never wish to be parted from you from this day on.
Well then. Your hands are cold.
That was a cool shot.
Shut the door, please, Elizabeth. You see, I'm out of your senses. I thought you hated the man.
No, Papa. Have you no other objection than your belief in my indifference?
None at all. We all know him to be a proud, unpleasant sort of fellow.
He's not proud. I was wrong. I was entirely wrong about him. You don't know, Papa, if I told you what he was really like, what he's done.
Well, I think the emphasis too is that I think he changed a tad when he met Elizabeth too.
Like him.
I must pay him back.
No. You mustn't tell anyone. He wouldn't want it. misjudged him for part me more than anyone in every way, not just in this matter. You see, he and I are so similar. But
You really do love him, don't you? It seems I am overruled. So, I heartily give my consent. Mrs. Darcy.
I'm a little worried about the backlash, not gonna lie.
For what?
From Lady Catherine, like, she's gonna be
Oh,
all
okay.
good.
She can't do anything.
I know.
Now, that was very different than anything we've watched on the channel.
Yeah.
So I know it's a bit of an adjustment, but what did you think?
It was, like, of course I enjoyed it. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like it's kind of normal, you know, like, I feel like I will only not enjoy something if it was, like, you know, fairly bad.
Yeah.
But it was definitely it was a different style than what we've, you know, normally watch.
I mean, the movie was made very differently, too. That's something I was noticing, is the style of the movie was very interesting.
Yeah. It felt very, I feel like, storybook-ish.
A little bit.
Right?
A little bit.
Honestly, I really liked, you know, all the characters involved.
Yeah.
And I like how they kind of, you know, portrayed it. Of course, this is from based off of the, like, book.
The book, yeah.
So it's understandable, but I like that it was, how should I say, some of the, you know, more outdated customs and things like that were portrayed in a light, kind of like how they would see it back then, kind of, you know? It was kind of like, it felt like realistic in a way.
Because that is a thing that a lot of movies do, where they'll take, like, the modern context and then bring it into something.
Yeah, like, they would take modern, you know, ideas of past traditions and kind of implement it there.
Yeah.
Which to me is like, it's okay. I don't care for it. But, like, to me, it feels a lot more natural and just how it would kind of be back then. You know?
It's true to the work, right?
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
Even if you don't like care about that, it's like,
it is.
well, I mean, I haven't read the book in a while, and it was in school, so I read the book. But
okay.
You know, that's how, to my understanding, that's how the book is generally written as well. So it's like, okay, you know,
that's cool.
I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I think it's a cool commentary on social structure and kind of, because I also like that it doesn't not comment on it. It does. Like Elizabeth is less than your Barbie doll of the 1800s England, and I like that. I think that's really interesting. Like, there definitely are some commentary on, like, it shouldn't all be about society and, like, the obsession of that. I don't know, you know, like,
yeah, but they still kind of, you know, followed their own customs in a way. You know what I'm saying?
well, it didn't go to the opposite extreme. It
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
like,
what
oh,
I'm saying.
screw this,
It's like,
I'm running off to Africa or something with, like,
Darcy.
Darcy.
They reasonably kind of, you know, went against the norm a little bit, right?
Well,
It was
'cause,
kind of like that.
There are rules, especially for the time, obviously in the context, but it's like you have to have rules for society to work.
Yeah.
But I do like that it was also like, okay, you know, whatever the aunt for her day was, it's like, okay, like, it's not that, like, you don't need to go that extreme.
Lady Catherine,
because it's like, it's arbitrary. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it needs to do this or whatever. But at the same time, your sister probably shouldn't go elope with some random soldier.
Of course.
Right? So it's like, I liked that. I liked that there was that balance. I really like the father-daughter relationship. I think that's something that's very interesting, and I like how even his relationship with his wife, you know, his wife is very, like, she's a character. And I like how, like, he doesn't really ever get annoyed with her or anything. Like, even that, like, little moment where he was talking about Jane getting married, I think that, like, right there was, like showed their relationship and how it works for them, and how he kind of, like, just kind of calmly does his thing because she always kind of gets worked up about stuff, and he's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna do my thing, take care of this, but like in his own way that like works well. I don't know. I like that.
I felt like, you know, in everything that he did, he kind of stuck to what he believed in.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be, you know, nobody could kind of convince him otherwise.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, I just want my kids to be happy almost.
Yeah,
you know?
and I really liked that.
Yeah, and he had a very, I don't know, like, he was always very stable, and like he had his own thing going, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't get, I don't know, riled up about certain things, which is awesome. And then, of course, like Mr. Bingley, I like seeing that side where it's like, you know, he's a little more like normal, I guess you could say, in our sense, where he's kind of like, you know, more bashful, more obviously in love or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And he seems, you know, genuinely nice. And then we see also Mr. Darcy. I do like that they were giving hints in the beginning that he immediately took notice of her, right?
Yeah.
Even without meeting her.
Of
it's
course.
like, you know, he took notice of her. And then over time, you know, he's always, you know, kind of keeping an eye on her every once in a while, like, which is cool because then you see it's not like out of nowhere that he's just like, hey, by the way, I love you. It's like, well, you know, he's been interested.
But I also really like that she turns him down. Like, I really like that happens and that she's like, no. Because I don't think that was the right time. Like, I don't know. I like that the story does that and it makes a point to do that. Where it's like a little bit, you know, like the cliche romance would be like, oh, I love you. She's like, me too. We just didn't tell each other. Like, I like how she's like, no. Like,
well, I guess that, like, you know, I feel like him going out and telling her that he loved her, it just felt like a very emotionally charged, like, spur of the moment thing.
Yeah, and it stayed like, consistent with her character that she would turn him down.
Yeah, and of course it was also at an unfortunate time where she found out that he was the one who separated, you know, her sister and Mr. Bingley. So of course there would be, it
adds
would
a
be
little
so
bit of
weird.
complication.
Yeah.
I do think too the only thing about it being a movie as opposed to like other versions of it that I've seen is that I feel like it does make what he does, like the good things that he does do, because it's like an accelerated timeline, it kind of makes it feel like he was like, oh, well, let me buy you a bunch of stuff for your sisters and then you'll marry me, right? Like, that's the only thing, and I don't think that was what the impression. That's the only thing that I would be like, just because it's like you only fit so much in a movie.
Of course.
Because he does that, and then immediately afterward they decide to get married, even though that's not the timeline.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of unfairly makes it look like he's just buying her affection.
That's true. I'm sure, like, in maybe the series that you're talking about, it was done better in the book or something. But, like, you know, knowing or having the context of it being a movie and knowing that, like, it's, you know, trying to incorporate all these things from a book, right? I can see, like, okay, well,
as long as you can understand,
a little bit of a pass there. I like the fact that, you know, each of the sisters were very consistent and they had their own personalities.
Yes.
And we saw, you know, bits and pieces of it throughout the movie. Now, I'm sure probably it was, you know, certain things were elaborated more or something. I don't know, as far as, like, the other sisters go.
I don't think so, actually. Oh, really? I think it's really about her and Jane.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't remember fully, which I like, actually. I like that it's kind of the other sisters are, like, in it, but its focus is her and Jane.
Okay. And
they're kind of dynamic, and mostly her.
Well, that's cool, then, because they were able to establish a bit of depth in each of the characters where I could almost, you know, see what one of them would probably want or, you know, do in a certain situation, right?
Yeah.
You know, all of them. And I kind of like, you know, being able to develop, you know, side characters and even, like, you know, being able to like side characters without having to spend a ton of time with them, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, they were able to do that in such a short amount of time.
I just think it's really well done. It's a credit to the movie, the story, whatever, the book, everything. Yeah. That it makes those characters feel really developed. But yeah, it was a fun movie. I don't know. This is why I like doing reaction requests, because it's like we'll be on a like a Marvel binge and somebody's like, oh, Pride and Prejudice, and it's like, oh, great. Like it adds a lot of diversity.
Yeah, I love these
to what we watch. Cool. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you to whoever requested that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, like I said, if you want to go check out the full length reaction, that's up on Patreon. And yeah, if you guys thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.